Bonney sets sail. Hello One Piece enthusiasts, I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about One Piece chapter 1101. Well, Bonney, this chapter finally sets sail when she's 10 years old, and when Vegapunk said she'd be able to set sail, she did. Not much happened in the chapter, honestly. Honestly, in this entire chapter, a lot of things could have been scrapped down, but yeah, it adds to the coherence of the story. It adds more to the backstory of Bonney, gives her more depth, gives more depth to Kuma as well, and I think within the story as well. Before we move on, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. Now that you have, let's begin. As you can see, my voice is broken. I lost my voice for 5 days straight, and this is why I'm late, but let's begin. This chapter in and of itself is basically a representation of how the world government has been repressing the information of the Void Century, and it correlates to how Kuma was sending letters, messages, his journey to Bonney, but then the world government came in between it and tore it apart so that Bonney would never know about what's there in the world, so that she would never be curious to go. But you see, it never works that way. Curiosity works in two different ways. One, you hear about something, you hear about a future, you hear about a grand adventure, you want to go. But even if you get the slightest bit of hint that yes, there is something outside, there is something beyond where I'm living, that I can see something better, something greater, regardless of not I get the further information on it, I will still want to go out and seek it for myself because I've heard stories. I already know that something's out there, so I'm gonna go and see it anyways. And I think it's the same with the Void Century. The world government, I wouldn't necessarily say the world government. The world government has tried everything they can, to make sure that the evidence of the Void Century does not exist. But the point is, it already does. The Ancient Kingdom has done enough. Joy Boy has done well enough for the world to know that yeah, there was something before us. There was something before the world government was formed. And for Kuma, sadly for Bonney and Kuma, the letters that Kuma sent were on pages that could be destroyed, that could be burnt. But poneglyphs can never be burnt. They're always a sign of the world, of the existence of the Ancient Kingdom. And it correlates well that even though the more you try to oppress a group of people or anyone in this world, the more you try to oppress them, the more you try to stop them from seeing what's outside, the more curious they'll get, and eventually they will break free and will see whatever is there. And that is inevitable, which is exactly what happened to Bonney. And I feel like, yeah, it's a good representation, and I think this will come in very handy in the future of the story, and how it will correlate with the entire operation of the world government. Now, moving into the nuance of the story, Kuma, this is the time when Kuma decided that he will cut off ties with the Revolutionary Army, just like he was said. He will now be turning into a cyborg with no meaning at all, with no memory, with no ounce of humanity within him. And so he decided to cut off connections with the Revolutionary Army. So Dragon understands the case. Dragon understands that Kuma, for some reason, won't be able to contact him, won't be able to be connected with the revolutionaries. And Dragon is fine with that because he understands that people's lives don't revolve around his mission. People that want to stay with the revolutionaries gets to stay because their goals align with the revolutionaries, or it doesn't. Dragon knows Kuma is a nice human being. He is kind. He is that kind of a person that wants to go against the world government and fight for the revolution that is about to take place from the Revolutionary Army. But again, life happens. Kuma already said that, yeah, I want to work for the Revolutionary Army, but there are things I have in my life that I want to do that are more important than the Revolutionary Army, and Dragon respects that. And I think we all should respect that as well. I think that shows the kind of leadership that Luffy had. This is the kind of thing I wanted to see from Dragon. The reason why Luffy and all of his crew are together is because their goals align towards one place. If it didn't, they would divert, which was exactly what happened with Usopp back in Enies Lobby, or I would say Water 7. In Dragon's case, it happened with Kuma. They actually did get separated. Kuma tried to do as much as he can by himself, whereas, even though they weren't connected, They were still working for the same cause, but Kuma has something better to do in his life. And I think it also makes sense as to why Momonosuke and Yamato didn't join the Straw Hats, as much as they wanted Momonosuke to be a part of the Straw Hats. The reason that didn't happen is because Momonosuke had something better to take care of, and I think that's very, 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 very understandable. And I think that gives depth to both Luffy and Dragon as leaders. How they respect what people are thinking about and what their connection is to the world out there. Luffy, in all honesty, only forced one person into the group. I don't remember which one. I think it was Zoro. I think it was Zoro, or I think it was Sanji. I don't remember which. Yeah, I think it was Sanji. Everybody else joined according to their own will. So there you have it. Luffy wanted everyone, but I think Sanji was the one Luffy wanted no matter what. So you see, they all connect back to one place, is that they join to their free will and they leave because they have to. Nobody forced anyone to join the Straw Hats. And I think the same could be said for the Revolutionary Army. And when they went away with a purpose, and both Dragon and Luffy respect that. And I think that is very fair. I think that is a very crucial part of leadership. But aside from all of that, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the power in the room. Bonney's devil fruit is actually pretty broken. It distorts reality, and Bonney can actually imagine things that can actually make it happen. It's not just age, it's also that kind of a devil fruit that can do more things than it specifies. And I think this is one of those devil fruits that, when in fact, the government states that it can only do this much, in reality it's been shown to be very useless. But if you go into the powers more, if you start to figure things out by yourself, just like Luffy did, there is something more to it than the world government wants to show the world. And Bonney being that kind of a person, or being the person that has that kind of a power, I think that distinguishes her from every other supernova that exists, and probably even most other characters, because there are only a handful of devil fruits that we've seen thus far that has a base power that the world government states, or we know in general, and then has something beyond it. So I like to believe that, yeah, this signifies Bonney's importance to the story, and I feel like she will continue to be a very crucial part of the plot moving on. With that being said, lastly, I want to end with the reason why Bonney did become a supernova. Aside from her being a captive of the world government, that makes sure that her bounty is high. But for her to have that kind of a crew from Sorbet Kingdom, they're not even fighters. For Bonney to make it from Sorbet Kingdom, which is probably in the West Blue, maybe? I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with directions and names. For her to get initial crew members from the Sorbet Kingdom and make it to the Grand Line and even into the New World is sort of insane. And this is kind of crazy, honestly. I couldn't imagine. I don't think there is any other crew that have been this so low on base power, but have made it so far. Even the Kid crew had like strong fighters that were capable of defeating people in their respective blues, and even in the Grand Line. Bonney being probably the sole exception of that. So sort of interesting to see. I think that gives more province to Bonney and the future of the story. And I feel like, yeah, Bonney does deserve to see a lot more than just Egghead, and she needs to move on from this, see the grander scale of the world, and actually get to live out what her dad couldn't. And I would love to see that. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Until next time, peace.